Today is Mother's Day, 2017, May 14th, 2017. And, there are a lot of parents who lose their children to suicide, uh, as well as children who lose their parents to such a fate. And that's often linked with depression. Um, and I've been a person who's, had my bad days and just times where I felt a sense of it won't get better and things are just going to be horrible forever or whatever. And I would be lying if I said the majority of things in my life are negative. They're not. Um and that's what makes the few things that are so irritating and really frustrating on a daily basis so engulfing, because you think to yourself, I can have this, I can have that. Why can't I have this and this and this? You feel as if you're so close to reaching that point of perfection that when you don't get those few things that you don't already have, you ask yourself why. And you become encompassed within this belief system that, oh man, this it was like this last week and the year before that. It's gonna stay that way forever. Um, the biggest part of just avoiding slipping into that belief system again is you have to tell yourself you don't know what can happen tomorrow. And I'm not going to do this thing where I go, oh, if you stay alive for another year, this might. No, no, no. uh the preface of me saying that is, if I were to sit here and say, okay, well, you know this video I'm doing right now is only going to get 5 views. That is within someone's control to do, and they can do it at any time. So today this video might only get 1 view, and then next year it might have 10. And that will have only been seen by me provided I was alive to see it. Therefore, you keep yourself alive to see the results and the fruits of your labor over years or months or however long you've been trying to accomplish it. Because there is the idea that, that you meet somebody different every year, but you have to be alive for a number of days to do so. You can't just say, well, I've reached my 20th year, time to end it all. No. And it's what's so bothersome that I've seen people who, there was this one guy I went to school with last year, and the depression he showed off of this one uh, woman rejecting him was, I don't want to say sad, because I'm not trying to call him pathetic. I've had, my own uh, sadness over failed relationships too, or attempts at, unrequited love, however you would characterize it. The difference is that I only developed what I feel is true depression after it happened multiple times. The same case with when I would write novels and get disappointed that they wouldn't, uh, you know, sell or whatever, even after I went and tried to promote it on different social media handles. I only became depressed after it happened over and over again. And yes, that is the case for a number of people who are here today. But what I'm suggesting to anyone who's watching is that if you go and decide, okay, well, the first 30 times this happened, it didn't work, uh, you got to change the strategy. And let's not kid ourselves, probably somewhere down the latter part of that type of just going around and trying to do whatever you were trying to accomplish, you got depressed, and that might have contributed to those last couple of times not working. I was at a point where in those latter attempts at approaching uh, women in real life, before I just, it's like, whatever. Uh, there was a point where with a lot of them, I was go, oh, this probably isn't going to work. This isn't going to work anyway, whatever. I can't wait until they say no. You know, the negativity you'll justify because you'll say, okay, well, I have no control over this. And, there's a case to be made. The other person has to accept you, or the other person has to do this. But there are still ways we can make that change happen. You know, if I go and say to this, to any of these, I don't know what you would call them, romantic interests, that I am interested in this person for, you know, A, B, and C, as opposed to their looks or some generic compliment, I think that person would be more interested. And I actually did have a couple of times where it might have worked, but not necessarily with the person with whom I felt was the most appropriate fit for myself. So, you know, that is not me attempting to go on a tangent about my own nonsense, but rather to say that you get a few successes here and there. Even if you lose more than you win, you still get some accomplishment, you know, because of these failed attempts at acquiring relationships. I have all these stories I can tell people, and, you know, they create conversation. And I can't tell that conversation if I'm, you know, depressed or I don't want to speak to anybody. And as far as these other times with these novels, no, I can talk about the funniest responses. I can say, "Oh, I remember this one time I asked this guy, you want to read my stuff?" And he went, "No," and put, you know, capital N-O and sent that back to me. Huh. You know, yes, one can say, okay, well, you still didn't get what you wanted. No, but you still got something. You got the memory of trying, and you got the memory that you can use in whatever way you want. And I know that that messaging thing where you go directly to people and message them about it doesn't work, so I don't do it anymore. I know that all these different methods for which I try to approach women did not work, so I don't do them anymore. You know, I had a an acquaintance who overlooked some messages I left with this one suitor from last year, and he said, "Oh, you're sending her more than she's sending you. You know, maybe that's one thing." And I don't do it anymore. But I would have never acquired that if I didn't try and just became depressed. All right, well, it's over. Not even going to learn from any of my errors or learn from this experience in any way. And I feel that's what you do when you decide to end it all. And I keep linking depression with that because don't think it's not headed there if you're hit with it. And again, one glove doesn't fit all. So maybe what I've been saying for the last 8 minutes won't impact anyone. But my point in everything I'm suggesting is that we all have something good to us. At the end of the day, I do not have any health issues. I'm grateful for that. I am continuing my just my endeavors. I'm grateful for that. You know, I try to focus on these positive things because they are positive and they are fulfilling to some extent. And I will do what it takes and what I feel is necessary to reach what I want. And, you know, if I don't get it, I don't feel bad because, hey, I tried. I gave it all I had. So, what I'm suggesting to anyone who still feels that sense of frustration is to think about what is good about you. If you have no health issues, or even if you do, if you can think at all, if you can speak to a person and get your point across, if you can write, there's something good. And you always start with something. You don't have nothing. You're not destroyed. You know, my arms still function. I still can speak in a way that people would call eloquent. There's something good there, and I'm not going to throw it away because I didn't get A, B, and C. And I don't think anyone else should either. I'm not going to get depressed because I didn't get A, B, and C because I have D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, S, the alphabets, all the other ones. So, bottom line, some things we don't get, some things we really want, but some things we can live without, and some things we'll try our hardest to reach for. And even when we don't get it, we have to realize we tried our best. We didn't just sit there and quit before the game even started. We tried, you know, and feel content with that. And don't get depressed because it didn't work, because you tried to get it to work. You gave effort. That's how anyone succeeds. No one just sits at home and, oh, look, this, this happened for me. So, I'm just saying, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Stay safe and be positive.